ask the clerk to call roll, please.
Dr. Mona Becker?
Here.
Guy McDonald?
Here.
Betty Martine?
Here.
Peggy O'Donnell?
Here.
Diane Nguyen?
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Wonderful. And with all of our regularly scheduled council meetings, we will begin with a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Now please rise and join us in the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want to welcome everybody, and as we just said, the Pledge of Allegiance with July 4th coming up tomorrow, very fitting, and I want to wish everybody a happy and safe Independence Day celebration. City Hall is going to be closed tomorrow, so I appreciate our employees who are here tonight. I know with the day off tomorrow, probably wasn't your first choice this evening, but thank you and for all that being here. It's when it falls in the middle of the week like that. So we are here tonight for our regularly scheduled city council meeting, which normally would have taken place tomorrow, but like I said, since it's a federal holiday, that's why we are meeting this evening. The first thing before council this evening is the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of our June 20th city council meeting, which is the last time we met.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
First and second, are there any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Okay. Item 7, discussion and approval of appropriations ordinance. This appropriation ordinance is 2017-13 in the amount of $410,989.06. Do want to point out a couple of things on there. $43,900 of that went towards capital projects. This included 53rd Street paving, the Park Master Plan, and the Sunflower Commerce Park Phase 2 engineering. $34,200 for water purchased from the city of Wichita, and $66,000 in new home tax rebates. And the rest are the daily operations of running the city.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve appropriations ordinance 17-13.
Second.
First and second, questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. City requested appearances. I do not have any before me. Citizens' concerns, if anyone in the audience? Hearing none. We're going to move right along. We do have a relatively short agenda this evening. We will move into reports, and we'll start with Dr. Ramona Becker.
Well, I wanted to say I am so thankful that our police officer handled the situation the other night in an appropriate manner, and no one was hurt when there was the shots fired. And we're all very thankful for that. And I think that is a good thing that our officers are well trained to handle situations like that. I also want to say congratulations to all the citizens and the police in Bel Aire for the peace and quiet we've had the last few days. You know, this year it has been more peaceful and quiet approaching the 4th of July than in years past, at least in our neighborhood, and to, you know, what I've experienced, that there haven't been near as many fireworks going off at the wrong time. So that's something good for all the citizens and the police, I know, who are on top of that. I was also happy to see all the photos of the Belle of the Ball. It looks like they all had a lot of fun for a beautiful evening all those photos are on Facebook if nobody has taken a look at our Bel Aire Facebook page lately. It's always full of good things, so I enjoy that very much. I also will just share something personal. We were really hit by the storm this week at our house. We lost 3 television sets, all of our Cox stuff, our main box and the splitter on the outside of the house, and our garage door. I don't know, we've never been hit like this before, but it must have been, whatever it was either a big surge at our house or a lightning got us. And so I've been kind of offline, didn't get the internet back right away, and that gives you a new approach to life when you're kind of out of communication like that for a few days. And so I'm glad to get back to normal now, and I hope nobody else was hit as hard as we were. I know a lot of the Cox people were down for a while, but when everybody else came up and we didn't, we had to get help. So these things do happen, but in the big scheme of things, I told Rob, we have so much to be thankful for, and this is not a real problem compared to what so many people in the world are facing. That's all I have, Mayor.
I agree with Dr. Councilwoman Dr. Ramona Becker relative to the police and to the peace and quiet. I have not heard it as peaceful during 4th of July week as I've heard it this year. And what that is attributed to, I do not know, but it's a very nice, pleasing effect. A lot of people have dogs who are terrified of noises and react negatively, and I think we've had relatively few amounts of those things occurring. I also like to report that I voted positively at the one of the last council meetings to have the council meeting tonight on Monday, and I think that was probably one of the most negative votes that I have made, because I didn't consider a lot of things, and there are a lot of particularly younger people who have Friday. A lot of people have Fridays off or have half days on Fridays. So now we have a situation where we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a lot of people can say, I'm taking a vacation day on Monday, and then we have the 4th of July. So that amounts to a 5-day weekend, and I did not make that consideration. And so I apologize for that. And I don't think we should be meeting on a Monday before the 4th of July. And I'm sorry that I made that vote, but here we are, and so we will have to act accordingly. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
So, Dawn?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I just want to echo what you said and wish everyone a great 4th of July tomorrow. And on June 22nd, I think you were gone, Mayor, but some of us were at the CCUA meeting, the Chisholm Trail Utility Authority, and Chisholm Creek, Utility Authority. Anyway, I just wanted to say for an update that one of the things that they're going to be doing this fall is putting a fence around our Bel Aire well. I don't know if any of you did that tour, but that needs to be done, and so I believe we are going to have a bid coming back, what it's going to cost, but we're going to get that, because that's one of the things that some people had mentioned. They were concerned about not having that fence up around that well like it should be. And that's all in my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Wynn?
Win.
Well, first thing I would like to say, as I was backing out of my driveway tonight, I noticed that there were some about 2-foot-tall flags on the 5600 block of Perryton. And I don't know which one of my neighbors did that, but it was very nice. I appreciate that. And I kind of came in, wove around on some other streets to see if they were doing it elsewhere. Just seems to be there, but it's a nice idea. And they look very nice out there by the curb. So thank you, whoever did that. Would like to share some observations that I had of the cleanup day, living right there on Edgemore. I see a lot of traffic And and I was out working in the yard very early in the morning. I think there were some people who were not Waste Connections people who were picking up some stuff, but no one came running out with, a big broom or something, so.
One person's trash is another one's treasure.
There were a couple of trucks that were pretty industriously picking up some things, and I watched that same neighbor down the street bring some more stuff out after they had picked up the stuff that was already out there, and so I went, okay, it's early in the morning, I've not had enough coffee to figure this out yet, but but that's what I figured out later on, and I was a little concerned, not sure what routes they were driving, because as I was about to just melt and, I wasn't done out there in the yard, but needed to go back in the house. I was done that way. There were 4 of the big trash trucks that went down Edgemore within 2 minutes. I mean, they could see each other ahead of each other, so not sure what the traveling project, how that was put together, but maybe they were just finishing up too. I really don't know, kind of thing. But I did have a couple of people stop by and ask, what's going on? Is there something going on today? So we're still not reaching everybody. They didn't know it was cleanup day. One guy was dragging his dog back. He lived down more in the central part of Pearson's. And, oh, maybe they haven't gone by my house yet. It's like, okay, whatever. And then on a more serious note, I will be attending the REAP Executive Committee meeting on July the 6th. What will be happening at that meeting, we will be going over the surveys that were done by WSU to kind of sharpen that focus for REAP, and should be a very interesting and maybe a long meeting. And that's all I have.
Councilmember Martin?
About the only thing I have is I sat in on the CCUA meeting last Thursday, or, the 22nd for the mayor, and it was very interesting, and that's all I have.
Thank you, and I want to appreciate Councilmember Martin sitting in for me, and I think our other member, Ken Lee, also had kind of a last-minute thing that happened on Thursday, so I just want to thank both of our alternates who were available for that. One of those things where I had every intention of going, except for I had a coworker who, there were big storms down south, and she wasn't able to fly back in time for a meeting, so I said, they called me and said, I get to lead this meeting. So, and called Councilmember Martin, she was readily available, and Ellis Colton also jumps in and helped out for Ken Lee, so I really appreciate our alternates for that. Want to echo a lot of what was said up here. Happy 4th of July to everybody. It is great to be an American and celebrate safely. I was a volunteer at a tent selling fireworks for a couple of days this week, and we'll do so again tomorrow. And I got to meet a lot of people, citizens and people who came here from Wichita, and one person that came in as far away as Whitewater, and just a lot of nice comments about our community and that was nice. So it was just really neat. The other thing too was working the tent, talking with the person running it, kind of in charge of it, reported the first 2 days of sales were ahead of where they were last year. So looking forward to, I think we're gonna do all right here. So that was a positive, exciting news to hear, and the fact, I'll echo what some of these other council members have said, that just hear a couple complaints, but nowhere near what we've heard in years past. So I want to thank everybody who is who's listening and knows the ordinance and are not shooting them off, and you can do that legally tomorrow.
One day.
For that. So A lot of stuff has happened since our last meeting, June 20th. We had our yard sales, and holy cow, that's another thing. I cannot remember seeing as many people walking up and down and parking and people. I mean, it just seemed like there were more people than I ever remember seeing at Bel Aire yard sale days before. So that was exciting.
Can I tag on to that? I
Please.
forgot to mention that, but we did have a garage sale at our house, and my granddaughter helped with it. And we just thoroughly enjoyed visiting with everybody who came to the house, and it was very pleasant experience. And my granddaughter made some money, and we got rid of some stuff, so that was great.
Win-win.
Yeah, can't beat it.
Yeah, so pretty sure we'll do that again next year. Also, last week, I got to welcome the X-Man to Bel Aire. Xavier McDaniel held a camp for some underserved youth, and there's probably about 150, 200 of them at Next Level Hoops Academy, and that was really neat. And some of the people that he brought along with him, and some of the special guest speakers, it was a really neat experience, and I was proud to be a part of that, to welcome them and be a part of that. And in closing, I just want to also thank our police department and recognize them. I think we take for granted how peaceful our town is, because there's a lot of times when things are able to be shut down by our police department, and when they're out giving corrective action warnings instead of tickets, and working with the community, and everybody's well aware of what happened to Officer Trummel this weekend. And that was the one who I was on a ride-along with exactly 2 weeks before, so at that time. So it was neat to hear, not neat to hear, that was a bad phrasing, but I was happy to hear, again, that his training and that no one was hurt. And appreciated another thing with our police department that I learned on the ride-along that I was on, there were 2 different times that a supervisor had to be called. We're talking 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, when Roby Fox or Daryl Atterbury took a phone call from an officer. Same thing happened over the weekend. These guys, so we've got a couple of officers working 24 hours with that. And again, 4th of July, I want to share the patriotism and the flags that are out. Councilman Wynn spoke about, and our police department, the way that they keep us safe here. So again, just want to thank everybody for that. And that's the end of my rambling report. So with that, we'll move on to City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess just with all the legislation that's been going on, I just want to, throughout the quarter, hopefully present some legislation to you that may be of interest or may have some effect on our city. Today, I'll just talk to you briefly about amusement rides. The legislature recently passed legislation that requires all amusement ride owners to get a permit from the state in order to continue to operate. They do have a window of time, which, though not perfectly clear, it seems like the amusement park, amusement ride owners won't be prosecuted for not having that permit until sometime in January. There can be an injunction filed if the ride is not safe and they're still allowing people to go on the ride. The DA's office can file an injunction for those rides. This doesn't directly affect us because we as a city don't own amusement rides that fit in the description. However, it is interesting that they have expanded, the legislature expanded what counts as an amusement ride. You might traditionally think of a Ferris wheel or some big slides you might see at a fair. However, go-karts are included, pool slides that are 15 feet tall that have water propelling the person coming down the slide, commercial zip lines, inflatable devices. So as you can see, and there are more, the entire list is available through the Kansas Department of Labor's website, but it might be of interest to the city that we do contract sometimes with companies who provide amusement rides. And we are aware of it, and I'll be, supporting the manager as he works with any of those organizations to make sure they're in compliance with the permit requirements as they are. So for now, that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question for her. You mentioned inflatables.
Yes.
Does that include like when the police night out or whatever they call that, they usually have inflatables. Does that mean that the city has to get the permit, or the people that own the inflatables get the permit before they bring them out there to the fire
Right.
station?
Yes, it will be the owners of the inflatables.
Okay.
So I'm sure the companies, I think we have one company here, one business here in Bel Aire that actually would be, subject to this permit requirement, and we would just, verify that they have their permit. They get that permit directly from the state, so
Okay.
we're not involved in that process at all. But you're right, it is something we'd want to be aware of if we're sponsoring an event that would have such inflatables.
So if we get, like for Bel Air Days or whatever they call it, if they have that amusement rides, then it's their place to get it. And our ordinance or policy, whatever we have now, is up to par.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions on that?
Yes. I understand about the permitting, but what about insurance? How does that affect whose responsibility it is to provide the insurance?
Right, well, the business would have to take care of the insurance for the ride that we'd contract with them to use. However, I'd have to look into it some more, but I know that we protect ourselves by making sure that they have that permit as far as our insurance, anything our insurance would pick up. But I can look into that some more and see how our insurance follows up on those requirements.
Because in the past, sometimes we've had to get extra insurance for
Right.
something, so.
Right.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Any other questions? Thank you.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few items. Just wanted to piggyback onto the curbside cleanup day. We actually received some notice from Twitter that a couple streets, Batten and Harding, were missed. So I don't know how the routes went, but actually 2 streets got missed. And so we contacted Waste Connections first thing this morning, and they sent out a truck to pick up those 2 streets. And they also mentioned that while they were out on Saturday, there was a couple places that didn't, what they had out was not available for them to pick up. Somebody had a bunch of rocks, and somebody had some brush that wasn't cut up and stuff. But they did stop and tell them what they needed to do so that they would pick it up, and then they went on about their route and then came back and actually picked them up from those people. So I thought that was very nice. They told them what they need. So what they did is they just put the rocks in the can, and then they were able to lift the trash can up. So, but I thought that was nice to explain to people why they didn't just leave. They told them why and then came back. So, but they did miss 2 streets, and I think that's all been taken care of. So if anybody has any other concerns or issues, please let us know. We'll work with Waste Connections. Speaking of trash, some homeowners have Tuesday trash. I know I do at home. And so we contacted Waste Connections to be sure, and they will be picking up trash tomorrow. So people that had a Monday day, which Central Park does, they picked up today. Tomorrow, if anybody, that their regular day is Tuesday, they'll pick up. So make sure you put your trash out tomorrow. So there must be just a few days that they don't pick it up, because I was a little bit surprised. So we've been putting it out on social media as well. And then the brush site is open Saturday. So if anybody didn't get any brush out that they want to get hauled off, brush site's open on Saturday. And as Ms. Becker stated, we actually had some lightning issue here at the city. We had our lift station at Sunflower Commerce Park was hit, and it took out our electrical computer system, but we were able to get somebody out and take care of that. And of course, like with most people, you have insurance, and so we'll turn it over to our insurance company, and we'll have to cover the deductible, and then we'll get reimbursed for whatever damage that cost us, so. And then the last thing on fireworks, the ordinance reads that if the 4th falls on a Sunday through Thursday, so it's a Tuesday, you can detonate from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. So on on Thursday, on Friday, Saturday, it's midnight, but so we're during the middle of the week, it's till 11. And then all the debris must be cleaned up no later than 10 p.m. on the next day, on July 5th. So we just encourage residents that if they put it out in the street or at the curb or sidewalk, to make sure it's picked up the next day. So that's all I had, Mayor.
And what are the hours of the brush pile on Saturday?
It's 9 to 1. Is it not? Yeah.
All righty. Move into our ordinances, resolutions, and final actions. There's only 2 items before council this evening. The first is the seatbelt ordinance. What happened is the legislature made a change in the fee for seatbelts. I think it used to be, what, a $10 charge, or $10 fee, or $10 ticket?
Right.
$10 ticket. That went into effect on July 1. So what happens when the state does you can't have different laws and fees at the state level, city level. So that's what's before us tonight. Jackie, do you want to explain more about that? You probably do a much better job than I can to bring us into alliance for that.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. The governor did sign a bill in May that changed the minimum fine for a seatbelt from $10 to $30. That $20 difference will not be coming back to Bel Aire. That's going to be remitted directly to the state. So there's nothing we can do about that. So we had to come back and, as the mayor said, we have to update our ordinance. Now, we get our traffic ordinances pulled down from a packet of standard traffic ordinances. It's actually called the standard traffic ordinance for Kansas cities, and we incorporate that document directly into our ordinance by reference. So basically, that book lists all our fines and penalties and definitions of any traffic violations. Because we have that as our guide for traffic ordinances, we had to mention it in this ordinance amendment. So that's why you'll hear me mention the standard traffic ordinance when I'm talking about this. I'm referring to the document that contains all of our traffic penalties and laws, essentially. So first, in section 1, we are amending our code to amend the standard traffic ordinance by reference, changing the fine for seatbelts. First, if you read the first page, section A actually defines the 2 groups of occupants. You have people who are 18 and older who get the $10 fine. That's the portion that will change. People who are 14, who are between the ages of 14 and 18, that fine is higher. It did not change with this legislative action. It stays at the $60. But the fine for the group of people who are 18 or older went up. Section B goes into what does not qualify, who is not required to wear a seatbelt. Actually, someone who has a note from their doctor saying that they're exempt from wearing a seatbelt, mail carriers and newspaper delivery persons, they're all exempt. That's what section B talks about. That part did not change. And then section D drops down, and that is actually the part that explicitly increases the fine. But we had to include the whole section since we're amending the standard traffic ordinance. So the rest of the information is pretty self-explanatory, and that's what you'll see in your ordinance packet. Are there any questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. You skipped C, and I don't quite understand that. So the officer cannot stop for a backseat person that doesn't have a seatbelt on if the 2 people in front have the seatbelt on. So now does the new law require that anybody in the backseat also needs to have a seatbelt?
Let me look a little more closely.
It's on C, on section 182.1.
Right, so the law enforcement officer can't use the fact that a person in the back seat doesn't have their seatbelt on as a basis to initiate the stop.
Okay.
So it has to be someone in the front to initiate the stop.
But does the people in the back seat, regardless of the age or whatever their age is, do they have to have a seatbelt also?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody that's in the car, in the vehicle. What about vehicles that are old and don't have seatbelts?
Right, there is a provision for that in Section E, which was one of the details that it defines, it's a pretty broad definition, but it defines vehicles that qualify as requiring seatbelts, and they would be manufactured after 1968, or if they were prior to the original manufacturing had a seatbelt in it. So I'd have to look and see how that case law interprets when a vehicle, like an antique car that doesn't have seatbelts, like was manufactured without seatbelts, how the law applies. But I would guess from this point, since it's excluded here, officers would not be able to cite those people for not having a seatbelt.
But as soon as this is published and printed, then everybody in the vehicle needs to have a seatbelt on.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the seatbelt law actually isn't changing, right? I mean, that's
Right,
been the
just the
law,
fine.
it's the fine, yeah.
Right.
The seatbelt law, it's the same seatbelt law.
It's like buses and stuff, none of those have seatbelts, like we
Right.
take.
Right, and maybe I wasn't clear. Right, so
Right.
once this is published, the fine changes. We did include the whole seatbelt
Right.
section.
But I just wasn't sure on that, and I had some calls because they said they'd been stopped because the people in the back didn't have seatbelt.
Okay, and officers may have warned them or something, but yes, according to this, this ordinance, if an officer can stop you if they see you without a seatbelt, but it can't be penalized as the
Right.
sole reason with
They
someone in the
just
back
tell you
seat.
to put it on.
Right. Right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Say bottom line is seatbelt laws have been in effect for a number of years here. Buckle up, people. You know, I mean.
Well, a lot of times, though, that's only meant for the front seat. That other law didn't go into effect for quite some time after that, because cars didn't have seatbelts in the back.
So anyway, this is before us this evening, the ordinance amending number 611. So need a motion for that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve an ordinance amending ordinance number 611 that incorporated by reference the 2016 Standard Traffic Ordinance for Kansas City's 44th edition, in parentheses, STO, by adding new section 12.1.8, which amends section 182.1 of the STO, adding new section 12.1.8 to Chapter 12, Article 1 of the Bel Aire Code of Ordinances, which regulates traffic within the corporate limits of the city of Bel Aire, Kansas, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
First and second, are there any questions or comments? Since it is an ordinance, it does call for a roll call vote. Dr. Becker?
Aye.
Guy McDonald?
Aye.
Betty Martine?
Aye.
Peggy O'Donnell?
Aye.
Diane Nguyen?
Aye.
Yes. Okay. Final item before council this evening is the lift station pump. You heard our city manager talk a little bit about that a few minutes ago. The lift station at 37th and Harding had a pump go down actually last month, so before the lightning and everything. And that went down last month. The backup pump has been running to allow for repairs to be made on that pump, and staff took the pump to be inspected and found a total rebuild is required. You can see pictures of that in your packet. Ann is here to explain issues and options and answer any questions.
Good evening. First of all, this was a different lift station from the one that went down. This is our main lift station over at 37th and Harding. We're very fortunate in that we have the overflow to the city of Wichita because that lift station has very little storage space. This occurred during the middle of the night. Staff was out, took care of it the best they could, which wasn't doing a whole lot of anything except allowing sewage to go over to Wichita. Otherwise, we would have had sewage in basements. So we're very fortunate we have that overflow. Both of our lift pumps in that station went down. We pulled both of them out, took them into the shop to get looked at. The first pump had a faulty electrical cord, so the electrical cord from the pump that you see in the picture in the staff report was removed from that pump, put into the other pump. It was placed into service along with our spare pump. So the lift station is now fully operational with the 2 lift pumps as designed. The bad pump had a mop head stuck in it. Not entirely sure how it got
Good thing
there.
you didn't find false
There's
teeth.
no way we could tell who sent it down there, but it got put in the sewer. A mop head.
Oh.
You know, where
That picture
janitors
in the
used to clean the floors, yeah. It's incredible, but the motor just kept spinning away trying to push the mop head through, and it tore up the entire inside of the pump. So very unfortunate situation. What we're looking at is about $27,656 to repair this. This would basically give us a brand new pump. It will take approximately 8 to 9 weeks to get all the parts, get the pump repaired, and put back into service. There is a 90-day warranty that comes with that repair. The other option is a brand new pump, which is $32,000. This could take up to 12 weeks for the new pump to arrive, and it comes with a 1-year warranty. There was a third option of looking into a grinder pump, which would grind up mop heads and send them on through. In discussion with the supplier, that is, more extensive modifications would be needed to the lift station, and so that's not an option we would like to pursue at this time. If we continue to have issues, that is definitely something that is worth looking into. But at this time, I think we're good with just replacing the pump or getting it repaired. Staff can work with a repaired pump. It's their opinion that it would work just as well as a new pump. For $5,000 and the difference in warranty, that's a call that we'd like the council to make.
Thank you for the pictures and the explanation. I think it makes sense with that little amount, not even, but what, 5,000, that we just go with the new one to have that, so.
Yeah.
And thank
they're-
you for explaining that they were at different places.
Yeah, you're welcome. And they are, there is a difference in 4 weeks, but we've been operating with 2
Right.
pumps without a spare backup for the last month.
Right.
So we'll cross our fingers and knock on wood that we're gonna keep being okay until the extra one comes back.
So, when this mop head, there's no way obviously to find, but it obviously didn't come all the way through, right? I mean, it probably is somewhere of ours that got in there, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have come all the way through, correct?
It came all the way through the sewer system from whoever put it into the sewer system, whether they flushed it down a toilet, opened up a floor drain and put it in.
So it would
I
have
don't
come all the
know.
way?
It
Wow.
came all the way from the consumer side, all the way into our lift station and
awful.
got stuck in the pump.
It's awful, yeah.
It's very unfortunate.
Very
how much
costly.
education can we do to tell people do not put mop heads down the sewer system? In
They
some
should
areas,
know
that's
not to
common
put
sense.
anything.
Yeah, not just mop heads, trash. And,
Right.
Anything.
Yeah, or sewer drains and all of that, yeah.
I will take this opportunity. Flushable wipes are not flushable. They're
Oh, yeah.
disposable. That causes a lot of
Or
backups in
neither
the
are
sewer
false
system.
teeth. We used to find false teeth in them.
Oh, wow. It's incredible
Surely
what
that was
people
an
will find.
accident, wasn't it?
Not when you find 3 sets.
If I lost mine, I'd let them go too.
If I lost mine, I wouldn't tell them. Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
the question I have is, can we save that old one and use it for spare parts at different pump stations, or it could be used at that pump station? Or what do we do with the old one?
The old one will get kept by Lee Matthews, our supplier. There's very different pumps at each of our lift stations compared with the duty that's required at each lift stations. They're very specific set points. So it could probably be kept, but our staff does not have that particular skill to repair pumps. That's why we send them out. So I don't think it would really be useful to us to have that pump sitting around unless it's just as a showpiece.
So did we sell it to him or just give it to him?
It's usually just given to him. There's not much salvage value in it, but that is definitely something that I can check out and look into if there's any.
If we could sell him a few parts or something, that would, I agree with Peggy. I think we ought to go with the new one and not mess with that old one, even though it's going to take 4 more weeks to get it. Or maybe you could have him put a brush on it and we might get it sooner if they've got one on hand.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, even though this picture is really disgusting that you put in the report, and I didn't know it was a mop head, I just thought, I don't know what, it looks nasty, whatever it is. I wonder if there'd be any value in showing this to the public, and maybe that'd be enough shock factor that people would be more careful what they put down their sewer system. And also, I think it bears repeating as often as possible for people to realize that those wipes are not disposable. You know, so that's something we might want to think about.
Yeah, we can certainly have Tristan put this up on social media, and I have instructed our staff when they have sewer backups, if they can take a picture of what they pull out so we can use that for public education. We had some backups last year where there was a significant amount of wipes, and we did a social media blurb to inform people, hey, these are not flushable. They are disposable. They're not flushable. If you think of how quickly toilet paper degrades,
Right.
if you put toilet paper in water versus the flushable wipes or the disposable wipes in water, they don't degrade like toilet paper does. Toilet paper gets wet and there's not much left. The wipes are a very different story.
And I think, sorry, Mr. Mayor, we try to educate. We talked about this a lot at the CCUA. Randall said there's stuff everywhere that's up there. I just don't think the public pays attention.
Right.
Because it even tells you in restrooms, don't flush, wipes and stuff, but.
Like I say, it's a disgusting picture, but maybe that shock value would get people's attention.
I think something that social media can't absolutely telling people that. And
Mr. Mayor?
we talked about being, okay, yeah?
Well, you can go ahead and finish. I just want to tag on to something.
Oh. And say, we've talked a lot about being environmentally friendly here, and we want to be that city. And to me, flushing stuff like that, a good social media campaign or some blast and media alerts. I agree, Dr. Becker, that I think helping to get the word out, and like Councilmember O'Donnell says too, there's signs everywhere, do not flush things, people do. And I told the story a year ago. I saw a neighbor, and I about came unglued, literally took it's still a sewer system in a lot of ways, had a fast food bag and chucked it down the storm drain. That stuff gets clogged up too, and and there's a reason why there's things that say, do not put stuff down there. So I'd be all in favor of asking our marketing department to kind of promote some of these things. And here's a good, we can put a tangible number, not just the environmental factor, but the hassle factor of our staff, the time being invested in this, and now tax dollars.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't have had a backup, that would have been a disaster for a lot of people in Bel Aire.
Yes.
That's another thing we need to mention to people.
I think it might be wise to include something with the water bill. I think you might reach more people that way, and when they're opening the water bill, they're sort of thinking, oh, how much is this going to cost me? And I think mentioning the cost to the taxpayers is an important part to emphasize that somebody was very careless, and it's been a long time since I've had kids in my house, but I remember the toilet was the favorite place when they wanted to hide something. They head for the bathroom.
Well, you see the little boy on TV that flushes his stuffed rabbit down
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stool.
So I think you might include something about children in there too. The mop head is a mystery to all of us, how that could get there, but other similar items could get down there very easily. And so the more education that we can put into that, I think would be money well spent on a piece of paper. Thank you.
I agree that putting that in the water bill would probably reach more people, for sure.
Yeah, I
Wait.
will definitely work with Tristan. We'll get something in.
Okay. Sorry, I was gonna make a
No,
motion.
go ahead. Yeah, I think, we've
I
heard a
don't say
couple.
not do it on social media either. I'm just saying, let's
Right.
cover it. Let's get it out there.
Go ahead.
All right. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the quote from Cogent for a new lift station pump at a cost of $32,693 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second?
First and second questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, and I want to thank the staff for dealing with that. too. Okay. Discussion and future issues. Next, we have a workshop scheduled for a week from tomorrow at 6:30, where we'll talk about some marketing firms, Central Park, talk about some economic development, and also continue our discussion on the 2018 budget. So wanted to make sure everybody was available. Let's see if there's anything else anybody wants added to the agenda for our workshop. Okay.
Are we ever going to go back and find out what is the holdup with, what's his name, that has the basketball place out there on,
Jason Perez.
yeah. Because he was real excited about those
Drones.
drones, and we haven't heard anything back, and if we don't get something in place, we're going to have them flying all over.
Could add that to the agenda.
I'm not sure what he's wanting to do. I mean, it's his, all-
Well, maybe
Yeah.
Mr. Lusher could call and see if he's thought any more about it. Pardon me?
Yeah, I said that's something probably we need to address this fall for sure, if we haven't heard.
Well, I think we need to do it before fall, because I've seen a couple of them flying around. And it's okay to fly them, but I don't think we're in compliance with them flying them in Bel Aire. But even if Jason's not prepared or can't do it right now, at least we could get started on an ordinance or work on one that'll protect us from that. I don't know, it's whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I can follow up with Jason and see, because I know that they had talked about working with the local club. Mr. McDonald and I were out there, and I'll see if they've got anything set up with the club or anything, or if they're even talking more about drones, because I have not heard anything from them, so.
Yeah, I think we need to work on an ordinance to limit the use of drones.
Okay.
But, I mean, Amazon and a lot of companies are gonna use those to deliver, so you can't say you can't have them, right? I mean, they're gonna use those in cities. So I think what we're talking about, our ordinance, we're not saying they can't use them, right? We're just saying,
I said work on an ordinance that limits the use of them. You're talking about Amazon and UPS and FedEx using drones.
Because they're going to use them.
let them do so. Let them, look, but we have to have an ordinance that says these are the people that are allowed to do it, and they can use certain sizes, and they can deliver them in certain ways. I think we just have to work together to come up with some kind of answer to the future, that's all.
It doesn't sound like it's something we'll have answers for a week from tomorrow, but we can maybe certainly begin that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll start pulling together some research on
Okay.
the scope of
Well,
what
if
we can really
Mr.
do.
Lasher would just call Mr. Perez and find out where he stands.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can
we
probably
can
go from there.
absolutely have that, and then we'll have this for a future issue, then, okay. Anything else? I have no need for an executive session this evening. Anybody else?
Mayor, I was going to ask for an executive session tonight, but I think since Councilman McDonald said this was a bad night, and a couple of other members said they had something to do, I'll put this off until our next meeting, what I wanted to discuss.
Since we're all here, I said I think I made a mistake in my voting to have this council session. But since we're all here, I think that if you have a reason for an executive session, that we should have it, is what I think. That's
Well,
my,
if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to ask for a 20-minute executive session on non-elected personnel and invite the manager and our city attorney.
Second?
I'm sorry, you'd want to state the purpose,
Yeah.
general purpose for that executive session at this time?
Non-elected, she
Non-elected
said.
personnel.
Is that what the top purpose
Yes.
is? Okay.
first and second.
In 20 minutes is,
Do we need that much, I think?
Probably need more, but we'll see.
Oh, boy.
everybody else okay with that?
I'm okay, because by now, the little kids that are the important people.
You're going to bed?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Executive session, 7:52.
Just text my company.
we get older,
Our strong woman. I just,
days go on.
I just have to throw away stuff.
Microphone's back on. Council just had executive session, no binding action was taken. Go ahead and call the meeting back to order at 8:26. Is there any other action or business to come before the council this evening?
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to dissolve the Central Development Committee and dissolve them, and then we'll consider other matters after we do that.
Which committee?
You mean the Community Development Committee?
Yeah, Community Development Committee. That's a motion.
First, is there a second?
I'll second it.
I have first and second. Any other questions or comments before I call for the vote?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say I think it would be a good thing for us to visit with the people on the committee before we dissolve it, but that's just my opinion.
I think we need to discuss this more, maybe at our workshop.
Sure. Right now, we do have a motion to dissolve the current Community Development Committee, and it has been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm sorry,
There's two
two.
ayes.
two ayes. Okay, I'm going to ask
You
our
gotta do all
attorney a
opposed.
question. Since Councilmember Nguyen seconded it,
She didn't have to vote for it.
you do not have to vote in favor.
Right.
You not, okay, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay,
She just wanted to get voted on.
okay.
Open for
That's right.
discussion.
That's, okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so we have two opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion fails 2-3. Okay. Any other action to come before council? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:20. Yes.
Guys, get up at 9.